Assalamu alaikum. Can everyone take their seat? You can't hear me? Can you hear me now? Okay, there we go. So, I hope the program is, if nothing else, it is engaging, that you're at least being exposed to different thoughts and ideas and what different people are thinking. So, as I said, the whole theme is about imagining, and we began with a theoretical workup. Now we're going to shift gears a little bit, and we want to show you what that looks like. Because exemplification, I think, if I'm not mistaken, Ahmed mentioned the idea of role models. It is a critical necessity for the Muslims especially, that we have to reach out and find our role models in the 21st century. The relevance of that is so important, because we cannot always be looking back in time if we're trying to create a future. And the future is going to be built on what you have today. And to bring and highlight and exemplify this theme that we have today, so I had to tap into my mother-in-law. And I can't say anything. I have to be careful. So having said that, you'll soon realize what an extraordinary work she has been doing. So it is a distinct honor and it is a privilege to be presenting her before you. She is quite accomplished, and I'm not going to embarrass her with too much, but she is the managing director of CFAM and Sarina Industries, which those of you who are from Pakistan or South Asia recognize the brand Barize, which is the leading fashion retailer of the country, and she'll talk to you about that story. But paralleling that, and again, linking to the social entrepreneurship concept of beginning within the business field, but taking opportunity to do good as it arises, she was able to engage in education in Pakistan. And CARE Foundation Pakistan is actually the second largest NGO in the world educating children. So we have over 250 schools, over 170,000 children. And these are not schooling that you would consider some mats on the ground and putting a little hut together. These are quality, marketable schools that are relevant and training students to be constructive and productive citizens of the country. And they've had amazing achievement in that regard. Clearly, as you can see, she's quite accomplished in terms of recognition. She's been awarded the Philanthropist of the Year. She was in the Pakistan Power 100, those who are the top 100 Pakistanis impacting their world. She's been at the Clinton Global Initiative. And so before I will at this point call her up, these are her pearls, and that I think some takeaway points that she will have.
Thank you. Sorry. Thank you, Saad. So, Assalamu alaikum, everyone. And it's really an honor and a privilege to be here today. And I want to thank Cafe Al Africa for giving me this opportunity to be here today and to share my thoughts with all of you. And with the amazing presentations, after the amazing presentations in the morning, I'm thinking, what am I doing here? So basically, I've been told that I'm here to share with you the journey of the last many years of life. So for the last 30 plus years of my life, I've been an entrepreneur and an educationist. And they run in two parallel streams, never meeting, and separate parts of life. So since the entrepreneurship came first, I'll talk about that first and then go on to CARE Foundation. This is, of course, Fatma is trying to pull out the video. Oh. Trying to pull out a page on Barize.
To everybody at that time, it was a crazy idea. Nothing, quality is not what was associated with Pakistan. You think you're going to make quality in this country? Not possible. And the rest of the world said, अगर बना भी लोगे क्वालिटी बेचोगे कहाँ बना ही नहीं सकोगे ये एक वो एटीट्यूड था तो हम वही I guess बिल्कुल पागल. So we said नहीं नहीं हम बनाएंगे. And so that was the whole concept. And it was like a little crazy idea that look, we have the same machines that the Swiss have. Look at what they make, look at what we make. We're going to make Swiss quality. It was as simple as that. Quality equal to the best in the world, made in Pakistan.
So thank you. So that was it. So the entrepreneurship was really not a plan like this. I don't even belong to really a business family, and even today there are no women in business in my family. So this was a crazy idea that my brother and I got. My father had 2 embroidery machines which produce the regular embroidery which is sold in India, Pakistan, and a lot of the world. And we just got this idea. Look at this. The Swiss have the same machines. Look at what they make. Look at what we make. So we're going to make quality equal to the Swiss in Pakistan. At that time, any Pakistani product was cheap, inexpensive, and poor quality. All good and desirable fabrics or products were foreign, imported, or smuggled, whatever it may be. And when we came up with this idea of making Swiss quality, everyone laughed. Those who were kind laughed. Everyone else said, you're totally mad, including my father, who said, you're never going to manage. How can we ever make quality in Pakistan? It's not possible. So anyway, we were young and crazy, and we ventured on this journey, put our heads together, right from the fabric to the dyeing, the quality of the dyeing, the quality of the embroidery, the quality of everything. We, with a mission, just with a commitment to quality, we started. And within 9 months, we'd created a range. Since it was our own little bits of money that my brother and I had put together, very small amounts as you look at the world of today, all we could afford was a little basement shop in the biggest fabric market in Lahore. So we got that little basement shop and we put our product out. And everybody, we were very lucky, by word of mouth. We didn't advertise. By word of mouth, people started coming. And everybody who came said, but this can't be made in Pakistan. And by the time we'd convinced them, they said that the quality is too good. This is not made in Pakistan. And by the time we'd convinced them that it was made in Pakistan, they'd say, then why is it so expensive? And and we got this crazy little reputation of, there's a shop in Shadman, it sells imported fabric and calls it Pakistani. They still couldn't believe that, we'd actually managed to make that quality. But anyway, so quickly we went on, and we were very lucky, and from one store to the next and to the next, because the response was amazing. We soon couldn't make as much as we could sell, and people were lining up for every roll of fabric which came. So we opened another store and another, and thereby became the first chain in Pakistan, the first. Otherwise, up till then, there were only people who sat and managed their own stores. And so we went from Lahore to Karachi to Islamabad, and then a few years later, we thought we should add more brands, and started our first apparel brand, which was for children from age 5 to 18. And then went on to open our first branded, but as the first Pakistani brand to open branded stores in the Middle East. All the products. Today, CFAM, which is the company which owns the brand Barize, we have 14 brands. All the brands are design houses. We manufacture, retail, and design. So brands in their own rights. And today, from that one store and the one brand, today we sell from 460 points of sale nationwide and 12 more internationally. And have gone on to be Pakistan's largest fashion apparel retailer. And of course, many more brands have come in since then. But for many, many years, we were the only ones out there. So that is what we understood, is that if you really put your mind to it, our takeaway was, if you really put your mind to it and you drive a vision hard enough, then any sort of thing is possible. And quality, and one of our proudest moments was when the Swiss ambassador was a regular customer at one of our stores. We didn't know that. So one day, my brother was there, and the Swiss ambassador was shopping, and he said, why are you buying this from here? We copy the Swiss. And he said, you know, our quality is not the same as yours. And he said, I can't see the difference in quality. You're much more affordable than the Swiss. So, so we went on, that's where the business is. The multiple other brands are from children's brands to home furnishings to more women apparel brands to men's apparel brands. There's a whole line of them. So from there to Care Foundation. So Care Foundation has really no connection to the business. It's came into being as the direct result of the flood of 1988. In 1988, there was a terrible flood in Pakistan. Where I live in the Punjab, there are 5 rivers. It means the land of the 5 rivers. And all 5 rivers decided to flood that year and devastated thousands of villages around the country, got totally devastated. And hundreds of thousands of people lost their homes and all their worldly belongings. So a small group of people, amongst them myself and my brother and a couple of friends, went out to help in the flood with food and water and then with medicines. And soon realized that it wasn't, you know, as we started helping, we went through the first water and started working with the people in the flood areas. We soon realized that food and water and medicines were, you know, okay. What they really needed was shelter, because flood waters are terrible, and mud homes, nothing gets left of mud homes when a flood goes through. It just takes everything away. They'd lost their homes, all their worldly belongings, all the grain they had stored up, because in rural areas, people don't get paid in money, they get paid in grain, and the flood just took everything away. So what we realized, so we decided to help 10 families build their homes. We picked a place which was the worst hit in the flood, just 15 miles out of the city of Lahore, which is where I live. And we got names of a few hundred people who had lost their homes. Out of them, we had to pick 10, which was difficult. It was like, what's your favorite number? You know, it was so many people needed help, and we thought we wouldn't be able to work with more than 10. So we started. We started by giving them the money and expecting them to do the work. Also, we realized at that time, working in the flood area, that we would have to give them the money in installments, because everyone was so hungry. If we gave the money together, the temptation would have been to get food and to eat up the money. What worried them also was that they'd lost the dowries and whatever they got for their daughters. The few hand pumps in the area had also gotten washed away. Anyway, so we started, and every time we went back. So we picked our first 10 people and gave them the money, and every 3 days we went back to oversee how the houses were being made. Whenever we went, there were hundreds of people, and everyone would pull and say, look at us, we've lost everything too. So we took on another house and another, and ended up building about 85 homes in that area. In that process, I just got totally involved. I couldn't let go. Maybe I'd never seen poverty at such close quarters. Maybe the tragedy was so huge. So I was there every day. And in this area, which is 15 miles out of Lahore, no drinking water, no sewage, no electricity, and no schools. And soon I'd become like a Pied Piper. Hundreds, scores of women would follow me around, and hundreds of children would follow me around all day, every day. Barefoot, runny noses, matted hair, and they'd just be following me around, unbelievably dirty. They had a trouser and no top, or a top and no trousers. And so soon, one day I just asked the women, I said, why do the children follow me around all day? And they said, what else should they do? Why don't they go to school? So there's no school. And that's what just got me. I said, oh my God. It was such a shocking thought then and now, that thousands of children are born and grow up and die without access to school, If you think how in today's world, how important it is, where are we without education? What are we without education? I mean, I can't think of one job. What does society have to offer the illiterate? I cannot think of one job. I don't know of one factory which would employ an illiterate person today. And I had often before that been thinking, as I was younger, why aren't there any Olympic champions? Or where are the thinkers of our times? And where are the inventors of my country? And it hit me then, and I really realized that they were all falling by the wayside. if people never get to school, then, you know, they can't really get on with life. Anyway, so I said to the women, what if I build a school? And they got very excited. They said, stop the houses, build the school. And of course, again, as I went around and talked to my friends and everyone, I said, I'm going to build a school. And literally everyone said, you've now gone totally mad. And you want to build a school? Don't you know the poor don't want to study? There are hundreds of empty government schools all over the place, and nobody wants to go on. So I'd worked for too long with the poor. I said, I've understood that everyone loves their children like we do, and everyone but everyone wants a better life for their children. And if the school's not there, then we're at fault. If I build a school and nobody comes, I will be at peace and I won't worry ever again. So anyway, I put the money together, and I remember I used to count the bricks to make sure that nobody stole a brick, because I went around actually asking people, how do you count blocks of bricks, because I was scared somebody'd steal the bricks and I would never be able to finish my school. But anyway, so I built that school, and the day, and we announced from all the mosques that the school is open and, you know, children can come. And the day it opened its doors, 17th of January 1991, 250 children were standing outside, the same with the bare feet and the matted hair and the runny noses. And some had a case covering and no trousers and no top. And they'd all lined up for a chance to a better life. We started and we've never looked back. So that same year, my son had joined Hitchison College. It's the best school in the country. So I simply picked up that syllabus and I put it in my village school. Because one of the things which have always bothered me in life is about equality. And I believe that education is the biggest equalizer in life. But it can only be an equalizer if it is an equal education. And I don't know about other places, but in my country there are 2-3 levels of education. There are people who study in Urdu and people who study in English. And I'm very upset with that. I think that everyone at some stage has to have an equal opportunity, an even playing field. All equal is what it has to be. Especially the opportunity has to be equal. So we started with no teachers, one retired man from the army, one carpenter who had done 10 years, somebody else who had done 5 years of school, and we started. We trained everyone. First day we had to lead all the children to the hand pump with a towel and a soap and a comb, because nobody was fit to sit in class. But soon, children are so amazing, so amazing. Within 6 months, they just turned around. And by the end of the year, word got around, there's a school where education happens. Next year, we had 450 children. Next year, we had 850 children. And today, that school has 2,000 girls and boys in classes 1 to 10. And the entire care system today has 175,000 children in 250, 60 schools around the country. So what we did is all care schools are co-education and English medium. Again, I cannot believe that I can't imagine how I can do a school where the education is different to that of my own children. And it's amazing how bright those children are. And I'll just quickly share with you, I think some of the, don't really know how to do this, so that's, so we firmly believe that it's to change the destiny of the country. Education is the biggest barrier in the path to illiteracy, is the biggest barrier in the path of progress for individuals as well as nations. And if we want to change the destiny of people or a country, it has to be through education. So when children don't, so Pakistan has this huge problem of very low literacy rates. It's between 40 to 50%, and when only 40 to 50% children go to school, the rest of them are doing that. And so, what we did, so the schools that we built, I can go from here. So this is not the first, this is Care 6. It's very, very rural. All the schools are very rural. This is again in a village called Ransi. It's many miles from civilization, from any civilization. This is on Murid Ke Naroval Road, if anyone knows. Very, very rural, very, very rural. That's another care school. So this was then the building that we thought was the best, and many have been made on this model, and yes, very rural. All these schools. This is the second school that we built. It's on Shekhupura Road. This is again just to show you how rural the schools are, how rural they are. And again, multiple, just images of some of the care schools. So this is assembly, morning assembly in a care school. Another morning assembly, children going to their classes, and then just, since a picture speaks louder than 1,000 words, I've just brought in some pictures so that you can see what the schools and the children really look like. So these are all our village schools, very rural. Nearly all the children, our first generation going to school. The first village that we worked in was 100% illiterate, absolutely illiterate. In fact, some of the rules that we made in the school were that we never gave any homework. The children were not allowed to be given homework because who was going to help them at home? So we as teachers were teachers as well as parents, and it was only after the child was in class 4 that homework was allowed. So these are just pictures, I'm sorry, of the children. Recess in a care school. These are just pictures of our children. So every care school is custom-built campus with labs and libraries and computer labs, and we try to give them an education which is truly marketable. And they really have come up. People rise. I've found that when you set the target high, people rise to it. And that's a library in a care school. So what happened then in 1998, government invited us and said, your schools do so well and ours don't, and we'd like you to adopt some government schools. And that's what really helped us increase in numbers as we have done. So on government's invitation, I surveyed about 25 schools in the city of Lahore, and we think Lahore is the cultural capital of Pakistan. And I was in shock at what I saw. So these are government schools in the city of Lahore. Behind that dump is a school. This is a classroom in a school, another school in the heart of the city of Lahore with a huge amount of sadness. This is full morning assembly in this school, which once had 1,000 children and now just this. These are all schools in the city of Lahore. 300 children studied here. I could never figure out how they reached that too. And so we found no classes, so children sit outside. There's no classrooms. And that, of course, has no ceiling, has no roof, and children still study. So in all this, I found that sadly, I know it's the duty of government, but failing government, then we've realized now the duty of civil society to ensure that our children get the education, which is their right. So we found schools with no furniture, no lights, no fans, no teachers, and everywhere but everywhere, we saw children sitting on broken floors, in their neat little uniforms, waiting for an education to happen, which was never going to happen. So we agreed to adopt 10 schools in 1998 and managed to turn them around. We agreed to put in a lab and a library, fans, lights, furniture, and put in our own teachers. So we managed to turn them around. This is, the schools look like this now. This school had grass, which was like 3 feet high when we took it over, and we managed to turn it around. And the children turned around immediately with better teachers, with a better environment. We soon found the same phenomena happening. Word got around. Schools with a care board do really good education. So enrollments went up by 400% very soon. Within a year, we had doubled, and then we had tripled. And in some schools, enrollments went up by 1,100%. We adopted a school with 50 children, and today 1,100 or 1,200. We adopted many schools which were closed down. And so these are all children which are the poorest of the poor. Sadly, those are the ones which go to public schools, who cannot afford anything else. And these are the computer labs that we put in, science labs. There was no concept of science labs. So that's what we do today. And quickly, what is most exciting is then what started happening to the children who studied in our schools. The results became amazing. We adopted some schools with a 0% passing percentage. Today, many schools at 100% passing. And we had such an inflow of students into our schools that we run 100 schools in a full double shift. Schools which were empty. Our largest girls' school in Lahore has 3,300 girls, which means 1,500 in the morning and 1,500 in the evening. So this is, in 2007, in the school, the board exam, I don't know how it works here, in the school leaving exam, the top 15 positions went to care students, first, second, third, fourth, fifth. So these are the first 3 students. These are the, and so others. And every year we have some board positions. And this time we have, this is one of the most fabulous girls. Today all this is slightly older, so she is already a doctor from King Edward, which is, after Aga Khan, the best medical college in the country. I don't dare say it's the best, but so it's such a joy when one of our children gets into King Edward. We feel like, you know, we've scaled Mount Everest. It's fabulous. And we have scores of them in there now, scores of them. So what happened is that when our children started getting these amazing marks and doing really, really well, we realized that they didn't have the money to go to college. So way back in 1999, we started putting together a small scholarship program because the children are truly ours. I don't feel that we are educating. They're ours. We take ownership of our children and their future. So we thought now, so we put together a small scholarship program, which the first year we had maybe 10 students and then 20. So children who have the right amount of marks, who can get into a college on merit, but cannot pay for it, and their family's income is really low, so we put them through college. So today we have 800 students in the best colleges of the country. Today and at all times, we have 800 students, between 750 to 800 students in the best colleges of the country on a care scholarship. So these are some of our scholarship students, and Kinnaird College is one of the best colleges in the country, and this was our first doctor from King Edward, Mohammed Azam. He's fabulous. He's a heart surgeon now. Very, 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 very proud of him. So he was the first. He from CARE's first school, totally rural, and where, you know, he and some of the others were called to speak to a group of people, and I was unbelievably moved when they said, and we used to walk barefoot to school every day. We would never have gone to school if, you know, the care school hadn't been there. And look at him today, he's amazing. So just other graduates of care schools, we really can only keep track of the ones who are on a scholarship. We have not been able to keep track of everyone as well as we should. So it's amazing. And this whole experience has made me understand that it's all about education. It's all about education. You know, it's the educational opportunities that you're exposed to. So like this child also came first in the board when he was there. This was amongst the first graduates of care. He is today a brigade major, and he was amongst the first graduates of the care school and joined the army. And so things have changed there. At that time, we thought our stake in the presidency of the country, but things have changed. So no more of value. So that's just, it's just that the pictures are there because they're just fabulous children, and I sort of, so, yeah. So we are educating these. Now we are also in Karachi. We have 20 schools in Karachi, and all over southern Punjab, and increasing away, not as fast as we should. We've set ourselves a target of 1 million children, and we feel if we can have an enrollment of 1 million children at one time, we can actually turn around the way the country works. So actually, I'm sorry it's not there, because this time also in the metric result, the first and the third position in the board for arts went to our children. And the girl who topped FSC, which is to get into medical school, the top position, we don't have her, right? Who got the gold medal, who was the top in FSC, was our student and our scholarship student. So they're unbelievably bright. So all the work that CARE does is done by private donations and private money entirely. Government gives us the schools and is now happy to give us many more, but we have no money from government whatsoever. And I know when I started, and I first started to adopt government schools, sorry, have I run out of time? So when I wanted to first adopt the first government schools, everyone got very angry and said, keep building your own, don't mess with government, they'll throw you out, and why are you doing this? And I thought it through, and I thought, no private organization can ever do education for all. And if you want to do education for all, then it has to be through government. And I thought that if we wanted to reach every child, then what we needed to do was not to create a parallel system, but to fix the existing system from the inside. And I thought at that time, even if government throws me out in a couple of years or whatever, we will have had the chance, the opportunity to fix something. So anyway, 16 years later, they still haven't managed to throw us out. In fact, now they don't like us very much, but they want us to take on more and more schools. And in the beginning, the teachers' unions were very angry also. Everyone tried that we should not somehow survive because it's a domain issue. The teachers' unions didn't want us. They were out on the streets and they said, you get out and you'll destroy our children and you'll destroy our schools and stuff like that. And we made a policy of non-confrontation and non-criticism because we were sure that we wanted to stay in there and not give anyone the opportunity to throw us out. And anyway, so that was lucky, and we've managed to turn the schools totally around. And in the middle, there was a time when the union started saying, Care Foundation thinks it's the only one who can do good schools. We'll show them. We can do better schools than them. And that was I said, wow, now we've got there. So that's really what we do, and we hope to reach many more children. And what I've found through all this is that nothing really is impossible. In our entire philosophy and logic, I believe that nothing's impossible if you put your mind to it. And everyone asks me, and so we teach everything's in English, and I'm sorry we can't show some video clips, but our children are fabulous. They are part of the Model UN in the best universities of the country, in the best universities in LUMS and in IBA Karachi and everywhere. Our children are part of their Model UNs and part of whatever they do, and we win awards everywhere. And everyone asks me, where do you find the teachers? It's not difficult. You just train. And if you work hard enough, and there's lots of fabulous people who we've found, teachers who can teach really well, and children who are bright. And again, the other thing I feel is that, honestly, it's not about us. We've built these schools or created these schools all over the country, but beyond that, we don't believe in a pick and drop or facilitating in any other way, because I really believe in empowerment, and I believe that it's all about empowerment. People must want to do something and be empowered to have a stake in their betterment. So we only build the schools. It's the children. It's unbelievable. When a village school has 2,200 or 2,000 children, where do you think they're coming from? They walk 2 hours, 1 hour, more than that. And our village schools also run double shifts. A lot of them run double shifts, which means that children walk to school in the burning heat of the day in the summer and walk away at night. And so my whole respect is for those parents. The parents who allow their children to walk to school for hours and miles. And all we've done is provide a good quality of education with love and respect. The rest of the whole effort is the children's and the parents. And I find it very strange when I hear stories even from government which say, and parents don't want to educate children. And I'm like, why have I never met those parents? And I believe now that given the opportunity, everyone but everyone will make the effort to be there and to make the most of it. So thank you.
So we'll take questions. Let me just put this slide back up. And that will... So these are some of the things when we had discussed, what motivated her, what moved her, what value systems, as our theme is about imagining how we can be transformative, what does that take? And so these are the pearls. While you look at them, if you have any questions for her.
Assalamu alaikum. Well, being a Kamkolian, let me start with this, that it doesn't mean that if he graduated from Aga Khan, and Aga Khan is the best school, I truly believe that's why most of your students picked up to go to King Edward rather than to Aga Khan. I'm just joking. Okay, well, we all appreciate being Pakistani and living in the United States, being Muslim. Throughout in my entire life, trust me, I have never seen such a tremendous work in my life. And mashallah, keep it up.
Thank you.
And
Thank you.
it's amazing. We all pray that you just continue and you expand it, not only in Pakistan, maybe into the rest of the Muslim world and the rest of the world.
Be happy.
No, we have enough here. And other thing is, my question is, as we know that on the northern side of the Pakistan, that even our school, which were like the normal school, they were being constantly bombed by the Taliban. It's very unfortunate. So are we able to establish something around in the northern area, or if not, we have more than 1.5 million actually documented Afghani refugees, and then I believe that the figure is a lot more whatever it is documented. Are we doing something for them? Because ultimately they are there for 30 years, and then are we educating them to go back and then make Afghanistan a better place? Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for the question. So first, you know, these are the misconceptions. So nobody was bombing the schools. That was, and I have not. So 25 years I have worked in the villages of Pakistan, in all the rural areas. Why have I not met resistance? Our schools are co-education, all the way up to class 10, and have been from day one. Our teaching body is mixed, it's men and women. So to date, we don't have one person complaining, right? And that was about the war in Swat, right? So it was a war, and we did a lot of work with the IDPs, the displaced people of Swat, did a lot of work. In fact, we were the only organization which made schools in those camps, because when we arrived in the IDP camps, we realized people were in a depression because they were sitting all day and doing nothing. So anyway, so in our conversations, we found out that those schools were being blown up, either by government or by the Taliban. It's simply so that somebody could not hide in there or use it as a whatever for defense. So that was honestly another story altogether. And the literacy rates in KPK, which is the northwestern, the frontier province, are higher than in are pretty good. So your second question, and that's, you know, I keep finding governments saying this, that and we pay the girls to go to school, and why don't we find those girls who have to be paid to go to school? Whenever our schools are co-education, and whenever we count, it's equal numbers of girls and boys. We've never had more boys than girls. So I don't understand this. But the second about the Afghan refugees, you know, that's all much more political. And if we could do more, like we want to do 1 million children, if we could get much more support, I keep hoping that one day soon we can make it into a movement. Because this model of adopting our public-private partnership model of adopting government schools is really the way forward. It's very economical. It helps, you don't put money into bricks and mortar. Our money goes directly into education. So we're the most economic model providing education, and the most easily scalable. So if we could have many more people joining in, or if we could make a movement, yes, we could educate the Afghan refugees too. For now, we have in Pakistan 9 million children out of school. If we can get to all of them, we can then think of other things. Thank you.
First of all, I just wanted to let you know, I've never been so proud to be Pakistani before as I'm today.
Thank you. Thank you.
And I just want you to know what we Pakistanis who are living overseas can do for you or for CARE Foundation.
So what we can do together is what you're saying. Thank you so much. So it is about together. It is about together, because we believe totally in empowerment. We feel that the destiny of a country or a people can only be changed by the will of the people themselves. It's not about foreign money coming in. It's not about anything. Nobody else can change your destiny. Nobody else can change the condition of the people but the people themselves. And if we can get together, for me, education is the entire thing. It's the root cause of every problem. If you think that there's not enough economic growth, or you think that there is obviously illiteracy itself, or there's poverty, or people don't have jobs, you know, the illiterate are not unemployed. They're unemployable. So, and it's a disease which is incurable. When children go beyond age 10 or 12, it's a disease incurable. You know, I feel that in the group of people that we call special people, illiterates have to be on top of that group, Because if you're educated and you're even missing an arm or a leg, God forbid, you still have 1 million jobs to do today in this world of computers and technology. There is 1 million jobs you can do. But if you're illiterate, show me a job that they can do. So if we want the country to move forward, we have to put our heads down and make sure that we can do education. And yes, we can only do more if we all join in. To educate a child is like under $5 a month. That's all. The quality of education that we give is $5 a month. Because of the government schools, because half the teachers are still government, we just train government teachers. We never throw them out. We empower them, we train them, and we put in our own teachers, and we put in a better management system. So yes, if we could all get together, we could really change the way things work, and we'd love for you to get together. Pakistan Literacy Fund here works with Care Foundation. That would be just fabulous. And yes, and if people, whoever come to Pakistan, come and visit, if children want to come and volunteer, we have about a few hundred children interning with Care every year from slums and all that. And that really helps a lot. It helps both the children of the rich schools as well as our children, because they get to interact. And there's a lot that can be taught on both sides. So if children want to come and intern, if anybody wishes to come and teach, or above all, to sponsor children, that's the biggest thing.
Thank you very much. Very, very inspiring presentation. I wonder, how do you structure the organization, and what's the budget and how is the cost per student and so on?
So first, structure the organization. We have a board, and then we should have a CEO, but don't. So anyway, we have a board, and then under that is a very tight team. So since we raise all the money ourselves and is totally non-funded and like that, except for private donations, companies and friends and businesses. So we are very tightly we spend the money. Everything goes into education. Our whole system is so that we have teachers, then every school has, every government school has an internal coordinator who coordinates with government and Care, and if all our own schools have a principal. Then we have cluster managers. We've divided all the schools into clusters. 6 to 8 schools in a cluster, and 5 to 6 clusters in an area. So we have area managers, cluster managers, and school principals, and everyone is in the schools. Everyone is in there. So very small. Our overheads are between 3 to 5%. Everyone says this is a bad number, it's too low, but that's how it really is. And our cost per child is like somewhere around $5 per child. As the school grows larger, the cost comes down. But in smaller schools, sometimes the cost per child can go up to $7 or $8 a month. So what other question? So that's how we do it. And we are audited and whatever. The rest of we try to comply with everything.
Ms. Aziz, your achievements are so dramatic that, you know, I've heard your speech before, but each time we hear you talk, it's just amazing. And we can only wish you the best and hope you continue on. I have 2 questions. One, as you recount your story, you talk about a lot of naysayers who tried to tell you that what you were doing was wrong, whether it was in the quality of the product that you were trying to sell or the schools that you were creating. Did that ever bring you down? Did that ever give you serious doubts that you thought were not unsurmountable? One is that. And the second, creating this sort of professional environment that you have in your schools, to me seems like a logistical nightmare. So how have you done that? What sort of outside training and elements did you bring in to create this system where this works so well?
So number one, do the naysayers bother me? No, not at all. Not at all. I don't know, should they have? I don't, like I said, my father, then in the schools, my husband, everyone said, God, don't do this. And I'd say, okay, doesn't matter. So we just went ahead and did it. Yes, you have to follow your heart. You have to follow what you believe. It's all a gut thing. And one other thing you don't know, everything we make in all our brands is made in Pakistan, by the way. The toys, and so we have a lot of naysayers there. Our brand heads we have these huge arguments, and they say, import from China, it'll be cheaper. And I'm like, in a country like Pakistan, where so many people need jobs, we are going to train. So we do. And that's one of the things which is we do all the time, is train people. And we believe that if labor can do it elsewhere, why can't we? So the other you said about the professional environment, no, I think it's just the same system that I use to manage my business. It's in some ways many parallels, many points of sale all over the country for the business, many outlets, many doors. And the same method is what we use for managing the schools, multiple schools around the country. You put in systems. I found that if you put in systems and the systems are good enough, and if you follow them religiously, and if you are committed to what you believe in, like if it's quality or quality of education, quality of product, I feel a lot of people just fall into line and will do what is expected. And that's really it. That's all we've done. We've made systems for everything, like in the business, like in Care Foundation. And for now, the systems seem to keep working. I found a lot of wonderful people, a lot of fabulous people who work with care and in the area managers and the cluster managers and the teachers. And yes, we managed to do well.
Thank you for the excellent presentation and the photographs. Those were amazing, and the work you're doing. A friend of mine is involved in the Citizens Foundation school network, and I was curious to know what are the similarities, differences in their goals and what they're achieving in yours.
So Citizens Foundation's wonderful, and I think they're doing a fabulous job. We're just way older. We started many years before anybody else. And then, so that far their model was the same when we were building and running our own schools. But our Citizens Foundation builds these fabulous schools, but the average enrollment in a school is 100 children. And that's wonderful for what they do. But we believe in the villages where we started from day one. I wanted every child in the village in the school. So one, our schools are very large. Our rule is we have no fixed numbers. We're saying every child who comes to the door must be allowed in one way or the other. And that's why the double shift. That's why we add new rooms all the time. I believe that we believe in care, that the ecosystem must not be destroyed. We cannot have a couple of hundred children in a village studying in a different format and everybody else is out. So we want every child, brothers and cousins and sisters and friends, to be in the same school, and that's how you can bring stable social change. And the other big thing is our public-private partnership. So that we pioneered this whole concept of public-private partnership, which is adopting government schools. And I think that's really the difference between care and anybody else. Now, it takes us to our large numbers. It accelerates the speed at which we can do work. And also I feel that we now have a contribution to fixing the system from the inside. And I feel that an impact has been made, and things are changing in government's own schools too, because there's this whole model sitting there, which bothers a lot of people, bothered them more in the beginning, because everyone liked to say the children are stupid and the teachers are bad, and they will never be educated, and they'll never do this, and they'll never do that. And I think they didn't like us at all when we started proving that the children were bright and the teachers were not bad at all, and you just had to give them a solid framework to work in. So really that, otherwise Citizens Foundation and other people like them who are doing education are all doing a fabulous job. It's just different models.
I just had a follow-up, just two quick questions. One thing that CARE, Alhamdulillah has had a pretty strong base in Charleston. Thanks to Fatma and Saud, they've given, PLF a home in West Virginia, and, we've had a really good presence there, which has really helped a lot of us, understand more and be very supportive. So the two things I have is that, and I want to know how you would approach these. One is that I've noticed that, and this is not just true of Pakistan, this is true of all countries where, corruption is a big issue, and there are many other issues going on, that people are very cynical by nature.
Yes.
I remember, when we started, Saud and Fatma, some years ago, and I would, in Huntington or other places, I would talk to Pakistanis, because, to me, it would be like, listen, this is the only way to change the trajectory of your country. The only way to change the trajectory of Pakistan is to educate the masses and get them on a different path.
Correct.
But everyone would be cynical. How do you know it's even working? How do you know where your money is going? And I would find that out of 10, only one would actually be willing to give money to CARE. The other 9 would just be, kind of talking about all the issues that this is nowhere. Whereas, you know, it was funny because you cannot even argue with success. You go online, you go on the website, it's all there. You should not even be arguing about it, but people would.
Yeah.
So I mean, I found that kind of apathy and cynicism, again, it's not only unique to Pakistan, but in many of the educated, even from Pakistan, I found that. So my one question was how you feel, you know, you've had to deal with that, and how you would, you know, advise others to. And the second part of the question was that, you know, you have 175,000 students, and I know your goal is to the 1 million mark. What hindrances or what things are kind of standing in that way right now? I mean, what would you want that could really kind of quicken the pace to get to that?
For now, it's purely money, purely. We know how to do it. Government's offering us hundreds of schools. And the moment we have money together for another, you know, we feel we can pay teachers in another school, we just take it on. And I have calls all the time from villagers, from people who are saying, can you please take over the school in our village now? There are no teachers. Teachers don't come to our school, and our children don't study. So for those people who don't believe, honestly, I have no answers. We're just lucky in that all the money comes from, you know, the vast majority comes from in and around. And it's people who've seen the work. As you may or may not realize, we're the worst advertisers. I get flack for this in Pakistan, to everyone says. And why can't you project, and why? Because we're really poorly advertised. Like you're saying, Citizens Foundation and lots of other people. Whenever I say, okay, and we're the largest educational NGO in the country, or some people say around the world, and people say, you're Citizens Foundation. Oh, no, we're not. We're larger than that. We're actually much larger than that in numbers. So, and in numbers of graduates, 9,000 children graduate our schools, take their metric exam every year, and it's a growing number. But anyway, so people, I don't know, people who don't believe, we have audited accounts, we are, clearly we've been there for 24 plus years, and the work is growing, so something must be okay. You'll have to decide how to convince people. We found a way. People who live around there, or who see the schools, or who meet the children, they are the ones who are supporting us. And so you'll have to make a system here. Yes. So we have 2 in Jamshoro too. And we have now about 40 plus in southern Punjab. In the flood area, we have 40 plus, and yes, 20 in Karachi. So now let's see how many people you can convince. It's your power of convincing.
Okay.
Yes.
Pardon my ignorance, by the way, because I'm not very familiar with the educational system in Pakistan.
Yes.
But what I want to know, well, first, very inspiring what you're saying, and I'm curious about the logistics of how everything is. So you said, if I remember right, you said you have about 6 to 8 schools in every cluster, and you have about 5 to 6 clusters in every area, right? And within each school, you were saying an average of about 100 students.
No.
No, am I way?
No.
Way.
Our average is about 800.
800.
Our
Okay.
largest village school has 2,000.
And that's in a single school.
In a single
Okay.
school.
So in that single
Yeah.
school, how many, I guess the staff, the teachers, how many teachers do you have per school? And then how many per child? Is that something you calculate?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
We roughly try. It's very organized. So
Okay.
it's we roughly have an average of 1 to 30.
Okay.
That's ideal. And sometimes it's a little less, where we can, where there's more specialized education going on, where you want special teachers in higher classes for special maths, special sciences. So the average would be 1 to 30 teachers per school. And we train our teachers constantly. That's the whole game. And there's many things I haven't been able to tell you about. We run a special English language speaking program in our schools, and now 70 centers. We started with 10, and the children are amazing. It's the final, I keep thinking I'm excited about the program. It's the final step in the equality. And they just walk out with absolutely equal opportunity and equal ability. So whatever else, like I was telling you, the children are truly ours. We believe that, what we have to do is to take ownership of the country and its problems, of our children and their future. So whatever, we keep thinking all the time. We also do help in employment opportunities and whatever. So hundreds of our children are back to teach in our schools. I know a few hundreds are working around my companies also, but I never try to find out because we don't do safarish, and I don't believe in putting a word in for anyone. It has to be merit. So, but yes, so we do have it all worked out properly. Yes.
So I've been sitting and listening, and I've been dying to ask or say this, and I'm sure many have maybe this crossed their mind, is that how this beautiful, delicate, soft-spoken person has such force and such vision and creating two legacies while many struggle to identify one legacy in their lifetime. So congratulations, and we're proud to have you here. So my question is about your vision. You said don't delegate vision, see it through. How do you build a team to carry on the vision? In the beginning, and many of our folks here are in leadership positions, whether it's for-profit or non-profit.
Yes.
And we go through that struggle of having a vision, building a team around the vision. And so what's easy for some folks, they follow when you are on the mark. But it's not easy for them to follow when you are right in the infancy stage. So how did you build a team when your father said don't, and when you started with care, people said it's not going to work, and then now obviously it is what it is?
Clearly, it was not everyone who said it's not going to work. There were a couple of people who believed. But no, you're right. So the don't delegate is, this was my question. What's the difference between a visionary and a leader and a daydreamer? Because I hear lots of people who say, oh, we are visionaries. We have the vision, and somebody else will do the detail work. They're good at detail work. And I'm like, that's not correct. So if you have a vision, you need to drive it through. And it's your commitment to the vision, and I've found it multiple places in all that I do, that if you're really committed, like if you're committed to quality, I know that through our teams runs this concept of it has to be quality. And same for the schools. So that's, I'm sure a lot of everyone does the same. You just have to drive the vision and believe that people can do it. It's about faith. It's about how much do you believe? How important is that vision for you? How important is the quality? And I feel that people fall in and will do. It's also maybe an integrity of purpose. You have to be doing the right thing. If you sort of not do the right thing yourself, then I think nobody will follow. So to keep doing the right thing, to believe in it, to truly believe in it. And so create shared value. I'm sorry I didn't talk about that. So creating shared value is critically important. It's the work that we do is not charity. We believe it's nation building. We believe the right of every child and the duty of government, failing government, the duty of civil society, and we look at it as our duty, not doing anybody a favor. And that's really, creating shared value is there as well as in the business. As you go along and you get an education for yourself and create value, so we're creating shared value as we go along. I don't believe in corporate social responsibility. I believe that that's sort of like a looking down on somebody and giving them something of what you've made. I feel that the next step is to create shared value. In the process and in the journey, as you create value for yourself, to create shared value for everyone else who is associated or works with you or in the country, to create value for the children who can't go to school, or to the workers who work with you. And what else? So it's take action. Do you want me to talk about that? Okay. Thank you.
We have one last. Another in the back.
Alaikum. I'm sorry I'm a little late to the party, and if you have already covered this. But leading on to the question that Brother Ali asked about building a team around you and having the buy-in from people people who buy into your vision. It's one thing, and what I've seen in sort of the activism that I've done is that it's one thing to have people buy into your vision. It's another thing to have them buy into the excellence with which you want it executed. And we all seem to live in a world where we're all satisfied with mediocrity. And the commitment to excellence isn't always there. So how do you inspire people to not just buy into your vision, but also buy into the high standard of excellence with which you personally want to see it and are committed to seeing it executed.
So thank you, but you know, you've given the answer yourself. You're saying very often in life, we're not committed to excellence. We're happy where we are. And honestly, that's how teams work then. If the leader or the central person or the person who's setting the vision is not really committed to excellence, they'll settle for second best or third best. And so that's the answer. If you are absolutely committed to excellence and set standards which you follow yourself, I think people just fall in and they will give it their best. Of course, everyone will not be, you know, people have different abilities, but a commitment to it, it's really about a commitment. It's really about how committed you are. And I have always found that people just rise to the occasion. You expect more from them, they'll do more. You expect people to reach here, they'll just, you know, hit this ceiling. But you put the ceiling up, and I have found all the time, people rise. People rise to hit the targets that you've set. Does that answer it? Thank you. Thank you.
And so, so what was the point? The point is obviously a matter of pride for Fatma and me, but aside from that, within the theme of what we're trying to do is, you know, we're talking about being transformative and the aha moment, the epiphany. And so linking that up, so in your life, you will come across situations that demands a decision by you. Do you take action, or are you going to let things pass by you? And I think those are the epiphany moments that different people experience within their capacities, within their realm, that we need to be aware of. And so in the story we heard, you know, why are so many kids following her? And so you can pass by that, or you can engage that moment. And I think that's something that everyone can take away. You know, achievements are very unique to each individual in each context. But that overriding principle, don't let moments pass you by.